Hola, ¿cómo están? Entra, entra, entra. Hi, thank you for coming and joining my class today. I am with my co-host Tere, who, thank you to Northgate, brought this class together for the community. And today we're talking all things Thanksgiving. We are going to make an apple yam pecan strudel dish because, in my opinion, every savory dish during Thanksgiving absolutely needs a little bit of sweet on the side. This is not a dessert. This is part of the plate. And so thankful to Northgate for letting us do this today. Hola, Tere. Okay, so first things first, just because this is a little bit time consuming, we are going to preheat our oven to 400 degrees. So if you are cooking along with me today, please preheat your oven to 400 degrees. All right. I am getting so excited about the holiday season, and for me, Thanksgiving is just the segue right into all the yummy eating. And like I said before, this is part of the savory plate, and it's not a dish that you really want to miss. So let's start by peeling our yams. And I feel like people sometimes think that yams are a bit intimidating, but they're so easy to cook. Other than this, I like to just roast them and have them on a plate with fish or with an array of veggies, or once they're baked, put in a salad. But that's a different discussion for a different day. So grab your yams, and we're going to use 4 yams for this dish, and just peel them. And they peel really easy, like I'd say way easier than a potato. Super easy to peel, and we'll get those done for you in a few seconds. Wow, my oven heated quickly. All right. Just letting me know that we are ready to go with 400 degrees. I like to roast my veggies at 400 degrees only for 20 minutes just to soften them up. Some people also will boil yams. I have boiled them as well, or I make a yam mash, which goes really nice with chicken. I know I don't really eat meat, but if I was going to, I would start with some fried chicken and yams because they're that yummy. All right. And it's easy to just keep your trash can close by so that you can easily just peel right into the trash can and you're not making a mess all over your counter or in your sink. That's what I usually do, at least. Am I the slowest peeler in the world or what? Sorry. So what are you making for Thanksgiving this year, Tere?
I'm making a pumpkin pie, Nicole.
Oh, that sounds so good. Oh my God. Who put you in charge of pumpkin pie? Are you spending it with family?
Yeah, I get sides and pumpkin pie.
That's nice. Yeah, I think I'm going to be making pies as well, but my family always puts me in charge of the veggies and bread and, of course, pies. One more yam, and then we'll start cutting. Yeah, so I have another tip. While I peel my yams. Turkeys, like I said, turkeys are, if you're gonna make your own turkey, because I know a lot of people definitely make their turkeys or are in charge of turkeys. If you buy a frozen turkey, it's always good to start thawing it out at least 4 days before you're gonna pop it in the oven. I personally would start a week ahead, and the reason I say that is because about 2 days before I'm gonna bake a turkey, I like to marinate it. And if you thaw it out slowly in the fridge from being frozen, it takes a few days. So what I used to do is I would actually wait like 6 days before Thanksgiving, start thawing it out. And then a day and a half before I was gonna stuff it or marinate it or whatever I was gonna do with it, I would put it into a bath of wine and juice. And so people always, I've known several people who will at the last minute think, oh no, I gotta thaw the turkey, and think it's gonna thaw quickly. Turkeys are one of the longest things to unthaw. So just so you know that, you know, the meat is more tender if you give it a long time to marinate. Okay, let me just rinse my hands. All right. Do we have any questions?
No, we don't.
Okay, good. All right, so for our I'm sorry?
No, I'm fine.
Okay. Okay, for our yams, we are gonna cut them into, I'd say like 1.5 inch pieces. And they don't have to be all uniform. They can be different sizes. Like this one looks like a little gnome's hat. I'm gonna cut it in half just because I think it's too thick and it won't cook as easily. So just, you know, it's super easy to cut the yams however you like them. And usually I just cut away at it. Okay. This one's gonna get a half. I have some cooked already that I prepared earlier, and I've just been munching on them. They're so good. And cook relatively quickly too. Okay. Almost done. And this is part of our base for our yam and apple bake. I mean, this is all we're gonna really do to the yams other than roast them. So now that they're all cut, I am going to take a baking sheet and drizzle it with olive oil. Let me see. And I'm just gonna give the base of my pan a little bit of olive oil so that the yams don't stick, because they will stick if you don't have anything there to just stand between the aluminum foil and the yam. Then place them all there on the baking tray. And then we're gonna drizzle some more over the top. Okay. Edit, are you a yam person? Do you like yams?
Yes, I love yams.
Right, there we go. And then just mix them with your hands. That easy. This is how I always prepare any roasted veggies that I'm roasting in the oven. Just drizzle them with oil, make sure that they're all coated, and it's so easy to just coat them right on the pan. Then put as many as you can flat side down. They'll cook easier that way. And believe it or not, we are gonna salt these because I believe in the school of a little salty and a little sweet really goes a long way. Okay, so just a sprinkle of salt. And my oven is preheated to 400 degrees, and I am gonna drop these yams in the oven for 20 minutes. So put those in. And we will see those in 20 minutes, okay? Set your timer. And here we go. All right. So next, I'm gonna start with a baking dish. And when I made these initially for the video, I used a big baking dish, so it was more shallow in the dish. But if you use one that's more compact, you can bring it up higher. It just depends. And also, if you're cooking for a large amount of people, just double the recipe. It cooks the same. So for this, I'm just gonna butter my dish, and I always keep like a room temperature butter dish close by that I can easily grab butter from. I'm a little bit worried because I've been hearing on the news that there's going to be a butter shortage. Have you heard that, Better?
Yeah, but I don't think so. They did that last year.
They did that last year too? Oh, good. You should see my freezer right now. I've been like, what? A butter shortage? That can't happen, especially with the holidays coming. So I've been like hoarding butter. I know it's not like I need to freeze my butter. It's not so bad, I guess. There's lots of baking to be done. Okay, so I've got my dish buttered, and let me just wash my hands really quick. I can't wait to dig into this. Okay, now that I have this buttered, I'm gonna set it to the side. And I'm gonna start peeling my apples. So it's a good thing we have some time. I have all of my ingredients here. And I'm gonna use a combination of both Pink Ladies, which are a really firm, sweet apple that's not necessarily mushy. And I'm gonna use a Granny Smith, which has more of a tart taste. And I feel like when making a pie or making any type of dessert that calls for apple, it's best if you use both kinds. I know some people are really insistent on just using Granny Smith, but God, that little bit of sweetness with the sour is so good. Excuse me. Okay, so let's peel. I have a drink of water. Thank you. Yeah, and Northgate has such a good variety of pink ladies and Granny Smith apples. Like these are apples that I always find there. I saw that there's a new location in Santa Ana. That's so exciting, Tere. There was an opening of the Santa Ana store that I saw on social media, and the store just looks absolutely beautiful. My husband likes to put the apples on like a little spoke, and then with a drill, he just holds the peeler and peels them quickly. I know there are other machines that peel apples quickly, but I'm just an old-fashioned gal that likes to use a peeler. All right. And if you want more apples, you can always add more. I'm using 4 so that we can have an equal balance between the yams and the apples, but you can use as many as you'd like. Like I said, if you double this recipe, it will cook the same, so that's always good. Yeah. I feel like I've been holding off on listening to Christmas music, even though it might be time. I see all of the stores are filled with Christmas decor and things are starting to move in that direction. I'm just holding off as long as possible till I start putting up my tree. I know a lot of people do it the day after Thanksgiving, but I certainly want to have it done before then, because I usually reserve the day after Thanksgiving for tamale making, to make tamales. All right. All right. So now I'm just gonna cut my apples by getting rid of the core first. Just cutting around the core. If my dogs smell me cutting apples, they're gonna come running over here quickly. Like, oh boy, she's cutting our favorite snack. My favorite snack too. Just get rid of that core. So I have some other tips. If you are making pie for Thanksgiving, one of the things that's a time saver if you're making your own crust is you can make your crust ahead of time. You can make it now and then put it in the freezer, and when you're ready to eat it, or you're ready to make your pie, just bring it to room temperature and it'll roll out. So that's always a time saver, because making your own pie crust is a process. And so if you can get that done ahead of time, that's always good. And even this dessert, I'd say, or this side, you could make the day before and then just reheat it and add the marshmallows at the very end so that they don't burn while you're reheating. All right. And I'm just cutting up apples, and I'm doing about the same like my yams, just not uniform, just chunks of apple. I'd say about 1.5 inches. All right, let's see. And another thing that you can make beforehand, I'd say even up to a week beforehand, is your cranberry sauce. So those are always things that I like to make ahead of time, and then on the day of just bring them out. Okay. So I'm gonna add my cut apples to this bowl. To get that in there. Okay, and then I'm gonna add 1/4 of a cup of brown sugar. And I have my cinnamon and salt in here. Of course, we're using salt again. This is 1/4 of a teaspoon of salt and 1/2 a teaspoon of ground cinnamon. And let me just get my mixing. And I'm going to break that up so that I can mix my apples and just coat them. Okay. By putting the sugar on them now will allow them to bleed a little bit, which just means that it's going to take the moisture out of them. Just slightly, not too much, but I like to do that while I'm waiting for my yams to bake. And then we are going to set these to the side and start making our strudel top. So before I start making my strudel top, let's cut our pecans. We are just going to coarsely chop them. So we're not going to leave them whole like this. We're just going to give it not too small, but enough to have a bite, but not too big either. So just coarsely chopping them. And this is a 1/2 cup of pecans. I've been loving this rainy weather. It was so beautiful today. The sky was so clear, like the day after it rains, it's always so gorgeous outside. And the cold, thank you. Like us here in LA, we usually don't get the cold until about December 1st. So it's been nice that we're experiencing it a little earlier this year. Okay, so I just coarsely chopped my pecans and I'm going to set those to the side. And let's make our strudel. So I'm taking 2/3 of a cup of flour and adding them to a bowl. And then I'm going to add 1/3 of a cup of packed brown sugar. And then 1/2 a teaspoon of ground cinnamon. And just take a whisk, break up your brown sugar, and then whisk this all together until it's completely combined. And the brown sugar is a moist component, so it sort of feels like you're already adding some sort of moisture to the flour, and that's okay, because next we're going to mix in butter. Okay. But before I start doing that, before I mix in the butter, just going to I have some room temperature butter here. This is 4 tablespoons, which is 1/2 of a stick of butter. And I'm just going to cut it a little smaller so that it's easier for me to work in with my fingers. Let me grab a butter knife. Now you see why I'm worried about there being a butter shortage, I am a butter queen. Like I love having lots of butter in the house. I even make my eggs in butter every day. Oh God. Can't believe I just admitted that on camera. Okay. So I'm gonna set that to the side and we'll get back to our strudel. And in the meantime, I'm gonna come with my buttered or greased dish, I should say. And you could see that the apples have bled slightly, like the granules of the brown sugar are now melted into the apple, and it's causing a little bit of a paste at the bottom. That's exactly what we're looking for. Let's just mix those up a little bit more. And I'm gonna go ahead and pull out my yams from the oven, and we're gonna mix them in here. I know it's a little premature, but that's okay. You know what? Actually, I have a few that I baked from earlier, and I'm gonna show you what sort of texture we're looking for. So here they are. And what you're looking for when you're making yams is for it to be fork tender. So see how easy that just went in? Let me show you again. Like zero resistance. So creamy. Look at that. So this is the texture we're looking for. Let me try it. Make sure it's not poison. Oh, it's not, and it's so good. I can eat yams like this all day long. So we're gonna mix these yams while I wait for the other ones to come out of the oven. We're gonna mix these ones right in here as well, just so they can get a little bit of that sugar on them and cinnamon. Okay. Will you hand me the butter that's in the microwave? So we're mixing that in. And I'm gonna pull out the yams that I have in the oven. And now I'm gonna lower the temperature of my oven to 350 degrees. Just blasted it up for the cooking of the yams. Okay. Let me grab some tongs so that I can easily handle these yams. Okay. So because I used some from earlier, I'm just gonna go ahead.
What's your favorite recipe, Nicole, for Thanksgiving?
I have to be 100% transparent with you, Tere, and just let you know that it's stuffing. I love stuffing. I love the mac and cheese. I love this. I love the corn. I want all the mashed potatoes. Like, because, you know, I don't eat the turkey, so all of the sides are what I go for, and it's happiness on a plate. Like, this is one of my favorite holidays as far as food is concerned. It's like so good. All right, let's see.
How awesome.
The sides have to be perfect. And like, what's your favorite side, Tere?
Scalloped potato and stuffing.
Ooh, yep. Yep, I'm with you on that. Okay, so now we're just gonna mix this up to get it all together. And I'm gonna go ahead and actually let me add my vanilla now. I'm gonna add a little bit of vanilla, and this has vanilla and it also has orange extract in there. If you don't have orange extract, you could just use all vanilla, but the orange gives it a little pop of extra flavor, or you could also give it a squeeze of orange, like just a little bit of orange. Okay, now I'm gonna dump it in my prepared dish. And here's the fun part. Once we have it in there, just smooth it out so that it goes in evenly. And if you feel like we have too many apples in one area, just move them around. If you have extra yams, you can put those in too, which I do. Okay, and then we're gonna add cornstarch. So this 1 tablespoon of cornstarch is gonna add like a little sweet gravy to the apples while it's cooking. You just want to sprinkle it right up on top. And it'll disappear while it cooks. And then give it just another little mix so that we can make sure it's all in there. We have to swap stuffing recipes that I'm so curious about yours. Alrighty. Now I'm gonna add in 4 tablespoons of melted butter. And this is so lovely. If you eat meat, you can also add in crumbled pieces of bacon at this point, like cook bacon, and you can add them in here. I'm gonna add just a little bit of pecans in here just so that they're in the bottom mixture. But I know that for previous years, I used to add bacon and it was so delicious that way too. And then I'm gonna take just a half of my little baby marshmallows and put them in. Okay. We're gonna put this in the oven for 10 minutes and let those cook on their own before we add the strudel. So let me add that in. Add this back into the oven. And now we're gonna make the strudel. So we've already mixed 2/3 of flour, brown sugar, cinnamon, and like I said before, the brown sugar acts sort of as a binder for the flour. And now we're gonna add in the butter. And there's 2 ways you could approach mixing in the butter. You could do it with 2 forks like this, and I'll show you. You could do it by taking 2 forks like this and just cutting across. This is a much longer process than if you just use your hands. And so I'd much rather just use my hands. What I do is take my hands and just work that butter into the flour and brown sugar mixture. And it's gooey, yeah, but as you continue to work it in, the butter that was stuck to your fingers will eventually get stuck into this mixture. So you could just keep wiping it off. And we're looking for a shaggy mixture, or some people call it pea-sized. It just depends. What I like to look for, and I'll show you, is I just continue to mix it until it can come together. It's not quite there yet. So make sure to continue to flip the bottom where all of the dry ingredients are with your butter. So when you're almost there, or when you're there, what you're looking for. I'm sorry, did you have a question, Tere? is this. So if I clump it together, it's sort of sandy. See how that stays in a clump? So when you push it, it's like gravel, it's like sand. Yeah, it'll break up and we still have some clumpy pieces. And then you can add in the rest of your pecans. And this is our pecan strudel for the top of our yams and apples. And so good. Okay, let me wash my hands. All right, so now I'm gonna remove the baking dish from the oven. Let me grab my mitts so that we can pecan strudel it up. We're just gonna now add this layer right to the top. And it's okay if it clumps, like I said. Just have these little bits of crunchiness on the top that meld into those marshmallows. I know the dish sort of disappears once you do this, but when you cut into it, or you spoon into it, I should say, it's so delicious. All right. I'm going to put this back into the oven for a few minutes, and then we'll bring it out again, and we'll add them, and we'll actually, I'm going to do it now. I'm going to add the marshmallows to the top. You could, if you don't like your marshmallows toasty, you could cook this for about 10 minutes and then add your marshmallows. I like my marshmallows toasty, so I'm going to do it now. Also, if you want a more dramatic look, instead of using small marshmallows, you can use giant marshmallows. But for me, the balance of having little marshmallows just gives a little bit of sweetness. And with the big marshmallows, you're going to get a sweeter casserole. So I'm going to put this back in the oven for 20 minutes. All right. 20 minutes it is. And like I said before, you can make this while your turkey is, when you bring out your turkey, it needs to sit for at least 30 minutes to retain all that moisture. If you have this prepared, you could just push it in right before you're going to serve, or while your turkey is resting, I should say, and then you'll have a beautiful warm yam and apple dish right after. And I made one before the class so that you all could see.
That looks delicious. I wish I lived next door.
I wish you did too, that I'd be like, come over, Tere, come and have some of this with me. But do we have any questions?
No, thank you so much, Nicole, for such an awesome recipe. I can't wait to try it. And thank you so much for today and inviting us into your home.
Thank you so much, Tere. I adore you guys. Get all of your ingredients at Northgate and we'll see you soon. Bye. Happy Thanksgiving.